Hi everyone, it's Christine here from Christine's Stampin' Spot. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and welcome to my Stampin' Up! Love You to Pieces online card class. In this card class, we are using the Love You to Pieces bundle, which includes the Love You to Pieces stamp set and the coordinating puzzle pieces thin lit dies. We are also using 3 ink pad colors today. We are using Petal Pink, Blackberry Bliss, and Mint Macaron. But of course, you can change up the colors if you like. I try to keep my classes as low of a price point as possible, so I don't tend to add a whole bunch of different ink colors, but you certainly could if you have them at home. You don't have to limit yourself to the color palette I'm using today if you have other colors you'd prefer to use at home. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Are you guys ready to see the first card? The first card that I created for this class is a very simple little card, and it looks like this. Super simple and sweet little card that gets us kind of acclimated with the stamp set and the die cuts and ready to go and use the stamp set. So let's go ahead and get started. The first packet that you want to pull out is the packet that looks like this. It's going to have this piece of Mint Macaron cardstock that has been run through the Subtles embossing folder with my Big Shot. So that is going to look like that. That's going to be in your packet. You're also going to have the 2 little puzzle pieces in the front of your packet. I've already cut those out for you in case you didn't have the Mint Macaron cardstock, but I'll show you in just a moment how easy it is to cut those out. You'll have a little piece of Mint Macaron baker's twine from the Nature's Twine pack, and then you'll have a couple other pieces as well, and your card base, of course. So let's go ahead and get started first with our stamping. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to grab this smaller piece of Whisper White cardstock. Now I will have in your email, you will have received, of course, a link to this video, which is exclusive for those of you who ordered this class. That video will also have a picture attached to it of all of the 3 finished cards, so you know where we're going with the cards, so you can see sort of the finished product. And it will also have supply lists for all 3 cards, and it will also have written directions. Those written directions will include all of the cardstock measurements, as well as step-by-step how to put the cards together. So if I forget to say a measurement, please feel free to reference that particular email that you received. So this piece of Whisper White cardstock is cut at 3 1/4 by 4 1/4, and I just slipped some of my grid paper underneath just for some protection for my work surface. You don't need your Stampin' Pierce mat. Oftentimes in my classes, I will grab my Stampin' Pierce mat for extra cushioning, but I only do that when the stamps are photopolymer. I don't do that when they are red rubber like these. These are called clear mount because they come in this way where they're not on blocks. You could also pay more and get them on blocks if you prefer that method. I just prefer using these, and that way I can stick them on my acrylic block and I'm ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and start with my sentiment. I'm going to get it nice and lined up here on my block. And then I'm just going to ink this sentiment up in Mint Macaron ink. So let's grab our Mint Macaron ink pad. And I'm just going to put the sentiment in the bottom right-hand corner. All right, so here's the Mint Macaron ink pad. And then let's go ahead and get this nice and inked up. And if you want to, I always recommend when you're first stamping with the stamp set that you test it out on your scratch paper first. Make sure you have it nice and lined up. Sometimes I feel a bit spoiled with photopolymer stamps because I can see right through exactly what I'm doing, and you don't have that with red rubber stamps. So sometimes you'll see me practice first on a scrap paper. Now I'm going to go ahead and stamp it down on my Whisper White cardstock, and there we go, very pretty. I love the pretty font on this card on this stamp set as well. My Stampin' Scrub is off camera, by the way, so if you see me kind of reaching ahead here, that's all I'm doing is cleaning off some stamps so I can reuse the blocks if I need to. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this little image right here, sort of a little flower image. Now you could obviously color this in if you wanted to. It's a very pretty image and you could do all sorts of things with it. I'm just going to use it as a little accent piece here. And I am going to, again, just do a little practice, and then I'm going to put it in the upper right corner and the bottom left. So first I'm going to put it up here, just sort of like so. No right or wrong to where you place it. You just kind of want it a little bit as an accent in each corner. Now I flipped it around so it goes in the opposite direction in the bottom left corner. And then that will leave space in the top right hand corner for our cute little puzzle pieces. So now let's talk about our big shot here. Sometimes I do this in my classes and sometimes I don't, because I sort of assume sometimes, and maybe I shouldn't, that everyone's on the same level, and that's not fair because some people aren't and some people don't necessarily know how to use the big shot. So today I'm going to go ahead and show you. I just have a scrap piece of mint macaron cardstock and this die from our coordinating puzzle pieces die set, and we're going to run this through the big shot twice. So let me grab the plates that you'll need and the big shot. Now forgive my cutting plates are a bit warped. I have a new package. I just tend to use the daylights out of them before I open a new package. So all you'll do is, here's the big shot, all right? And this is Stampin' Up's big shot, which I absolutely love. And now you'll take, I use the magnetic platform for most of my cutting, so you'll take your magnetic platform, you'll take a cutting pad, and let's stick that down. I'll push this forward so you can see a little bit better. I'll then take my mint macaron cardstock, I will take my die face down, cutting side down, and then I will put another cutting plate on top. And now I will simply crank this through the big shot. And that will give us a little cutout here of this cute little puzzle piece. And let me show you what it cuts out here. See? Very cute. We're going to do this one more time because the design calls for 2 of them. So I'm just going to do the same thing one more time here. Like so. And now we are done with our big shot for now, so we can set that aside. All right, put the die back on its little sheet here, and there's our 2 little puzzle pieces. All right, next let's go ahead and start putting this card together. This is, like I said at the beginning, is a very simple card. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're just going to sort of place these little puzzle pieces here, like so. So they're sort of together on the front of the card, which goes along with the sentiment that says, "Thanks for keeping me together." So we're going to kind of place them like that. I'm just going to, for this card design, put these with regular adhesive flush down on the cardstock, but if you wanted to pop them, of course you could do that. But I'm just going to take regular snail adhesive here and stick it down like so, and then do the same thing with the other puzzle piece, which of course, you can turn it either way you want. So I'm turning one and one is straight up and down. So that's what that looks like right there. So this is our stamping. So we are all done with our stamping and die cutting. Super simple card. Now what we want to do is to go ahead and bring over this piece of Flirty Flamingo cardstock to layer behind our stamped panel. So let's go ahead and just add some snail to the back of this, like so. And then just center this on top of the Flirty Flamingo, which by the way is cut at 4.5 by 3.5. So it's 1/4 inch on each side larger. And then we have this piece of mint macaron I was talking about at the beginning of this section of the video, that I've already run through for you with the textured embossing folder. We are going to be adhering this to our thick Whisper White card base, just centering it right in the middle there. And our card base, of course, is a standard A2 size card base. It's 8.5 by 5.5, score at 4.25. Now you saw I put a lot of adhesive on the back of this simply because it is embossed with that dry embossing subtles folder, and so I tend to add extra adhesive so it sticks nice and firm, especially going through the mail. Now we're going to center this stamped panel right in the middle of our mint macaron embossed, dry embossed cardstock. I decided to pop this one. You can of course leave that out and just use regular adhesive if you prefer, but I am going to go ahead and pop this one. Like so. Now we'll just peel the little backings off. 5 should do it if you're going to go with the popping, with the dimensionals. And then all we do is just center this in the middle of our card front here. And then we have a couple little accents left to do. It's not quite straight there. That looks better. I gave you a little tiny piece of mint macaron twine. So I'm just going to tie this into a simple little bow, and then just pull it so the ears of the bow are a little smaller. And then what I'm going to do is grab a mini glue dot and just stick it to the back of the center of the bow. And then I'm just going to stick this down right here as a little accent to this bottom flower. And then I'm just going to grab my scissors and trim the tails of the little ribbon so they're a little bit shorter. I just thought that was a cute little accent to add. And then finally, you guys were given 5 Stampin' rhinestones. So, I'm sorry, 10 total, 5 for each card. I went a little crazy with the rhinestones. That's why you have so many. But I don't mind giving them to you. They're very inexpensive, and I really think they add some beauty to the finished look of the card. So there's 3, 4. You can put them wherever you want. I just like to add some glitz and some shimmer and shine sometimes to the cards. So that's it, guys. That is this first card. As I said, it's very simple, but what a sweet card to get in the mail. I think it's really sweet. So here it is. Here's the one I did before camera. Here's the one we just made on camera. So really super simple and easy to do, but really sweet, I think. I think anyone would love to receive this. All right, are you guys ready for card number 2? Card number 2 uses a completely different color scheme. Completely different. And I think you guys will like it. I do. And I hope you guys do too. This is the second card that we are making. And so this uses a Blackberry Bliss and soft suede colored cardstock. And I love it. Love it, love it. So as you can see, we have the puzzle pieces here. We have a little sentiment right here, some designer series paper, and some Blackberry Bliss twine. That's also from that Nature's Twine pack. So let's go ahead and get started on this. So the packet, of course, that you're going to want to pull out is going to look like this. All right, it's going to have the purple and soft suede in it. And inside of it, I don't have it on here because I have plenty of scrap paper to the right of me on my table here, but inside your packets, inside the soft suede card base will be a piece of Whisper White cardstock in here. So pull that out first. I'm just going to reach to my right here and grab some Whisper White cardstock that I have. I have plenty over here for scraps. All right, so what we want to do first is stamp the little puzzle pieces, and that's what this Whisper White cardstock is for. So grab your Blackberry Bliss ink pad. And then we're going to be grabbing from the stamp set this puzzle piece here that says love you, and then this one that says to pieces. So we're going to be grabbing both of those stamps out of the stamp set here, and then we'll just grab a block to stick these on. All right, so ink these up in your Blackberry Bliss. These are very solid puzzle piece images, so I recommend flipping them over, looking at the back, and making sure you have even ink all along the back of the stamp before you stamp it down. And now we're going to stamp this down. Pretty. Look at that. Isn't that so cute? Go ahead and clean this off because I'm going to reuse this block for the other puzzle piece as well. So I'm going to ink this one up now in the Blackberry Bliss again. Flip it over, make sure I have it nice and even coverage. All right, and then we'll stamp this down as well. Beautiful. Clean that off. And while I still have my Blackberry Bliss, I'm going to set this aside for a minute. I'm going to bring over this little piece here of our designer series paper. This is from the Neutrals collection. This is our soft suede color. And I am going to grab the little sentiment that says "We Just Fit" from the stamp set. Let me show you on the cover. It's this one right here, and it says "We Just Fit." I'm going to grab this really quickly. Again, while I still have the ink out, you can, do it in different steps if you prefer. And I'm going to ink this up. I'm going to do a practice because it's a sentiment. I want to make sure I have it lined up. And I am just going to stamp this down right in the bottom right hand corner of this designer series paper. So it's very subtle, but you can definitely read it and see it down there in the bottom right hand corner. Now if you prefer, of course, you could add some solid cardstock, but I found it wasn't too busy and distracting, and so I really kind of liked the look on the designer series paper. So that's why I decided to go with that. So we are done with our stamping for this card. We're gonna grab the same die now that we used for card number 1. Remember, for card number 1, we just used the die and paper alone. This time we're actually going to use the die. We're going to line it up, and as you can see on the camera here, I'm just simply centering it over. And then I'm going to take some Post-it note tape. You could also use washi tape, just a low tack tape, to sort of tape the die in place. And I'm using low tack tape because when I peel it off, it's not going to stick. I'm going to bring the Big Shot back up and the same plates we used before. So nothing different this go around when it comes to cutting. The magnetic plate will also help hold this into place. Sometimes the Post-it note tape isn't even necessary, but I just find that for smaller pieces like this, where it's, you know, such a thin outline around the image, it never hurts to add that little bit of extra security. In this case, Post-it note tape, but like I said, you could use washi tape as well. And this is what it looks like all popped out. Isn't that precious? Super cute. So now let's quickly do the other one here. So all you do is place the die cutting side down, so face down, line it up around your puzzle piece. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of this tape down in place here. And then just repeat the process one more time. Just run it through the Big Shot one more time. All right, all done with the Big Shot for this card. So now we can grab this and set our plates aside, and now we can see this one popped out as well. It's super cute. And there you go. There it is, popped out. Super adorable. I just think that's so cute. All right, so the next step then is simply to put this card together. So let's bring over the various pieces that create this card. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take this piece of Blackberry Bliss that you have in your packet, and we're just going to adhere our designer series paper along the bottom. So let's go ahead and do that. Just add some snail adhesive to the bottom of your designer series paper, and then stick that, oh, I just went up just a little ways here. Like so. Just get it as straight as you can across the bottom there. I don't have mine quite as straight as I'd like it, so I'm just gonna fix it as best I can here. Okay, there we go. Now we're going to take this piece of Blackberry Bliss twine that's in your packet, turn your cardstock over and put some adhesive on either side of the long sides. And then just put a little tiny bit of the twine over, and you're just going to wrap it around once. So just once, sort of in the middle of this soft suede designer series paper. And then you're going to flip it over and you're going to cut it. All right, so this is what it would look like on the back. It wouldn't hurt at this point, because this is a little bit thicker baker's twine. It wouldn't hurt to grab some Scotch tape to tape these ends down firmly as well. That way you're guaranteed they're not going to move on you, especially if you're putting the card through the mail. Now you're going to center this on your soft suede card base, which is another A2 size. This one is cut a little bit differently. This one measures 11 by 4 1/4, and it is scored at 5 1/2. All right, so that's done there. That's down, nice and secure. Now you're going to take the rest of your baker's twine here, your Blackberry Bliss twine, and just create a little bow. Just like we did on card number 1 with the Mint Macaron twine, we're just going to create a little bow. And I'm going to go ahead and snip it. So you'll have extra, and you can certainly, there's enough there to save for another project if you wish. So let me just make the little ears of the bow a little bit shorter. I'm going to grab a glue dot again. And then we're just going to place the bow on top of the baker's twine we've just placed down, like so. And then we'll just trim these little ears off here. I'm sorry, tails. The little tails of the ribbon off. And there we go. And you can, of course, fiddle with it till it's perfect. I'm just going to, for the sake of the video, I'm going to call it done. All right, now you have a soft suede stitched circle that has already been cut for you in your packet, and I cut this from our Stitched Shapes framelit dies. I'm going to put some dimensionals on the back of this for a little bit of a pop. Okay. Alrighty. And then just place this about right here. Now we're going to take the puzzle pieces and they're going to go on top of our little circle like this. Whoops, no they're not. They're going to go like this. All right, something like that. So let's go ahead and put some mini dimensionals, if you have them, on the backs of these. Of course, if you just have regular dimensionals, you can just cut them so that they fit along the back here of this little puzzle piece here. And then I'm going to put the love you here. And then the to pieces is going to go right next to it. I'm going to grab 2 more mini dimensionals. All right. And this one's going to go placed inside of that one so they fit together. And there you go. Super cute, super easy little card. Now I just realized I did forget a step for the card that I just did on video, but it's such a subtle step, I'm not quite sure, to be perfectly honest, if it's worth it. So let me show you what I did on this finished card. Can you guys see the little hearts in the background here on the Blackberry Bliss cardstock? All I did there was I simply took the hearts image and stamped it in Blackberry Bliss ink onto the Blackberry Bliss cardstock. So it just added this very subtle little addition to little texture to the back. I neglected to do that on this card. I think both look great, but I did want to point that out, and I will add that in the written instructions as well in case you'd like to add that step. And I did tilt this piece just a little bit. You can play with them and tilt the pieces if you want, or just leave them straight. Lots of options for this particular little card stamp set here. Okay. We are moving right along. These are very simple cards that we're doing in this particular series. The stamp set, I think, calls for simplicity, kind of like the Varied Vases online card class that I did. And so when a stamp set calls for simplicity, I try to go wherever the stamp set leads me. And I really like how these cards came out, and they're simple and they can be done super quickly. So this is the last card that we're going to be making in today's online card class. So this one says, "You are my missing piece," and we have this really pretty embossed puzzle panel back here. We've got a couple of puzzle pieces over here, and then this pretty glittery pink one in the bottom, you know, kind of in the middle-ish over here, with some pearls and some white baker's twine as well. All right. So the packet that you're going to want to reach for is going to look something like this, except your panel will already be embossed for you. I'm going to show you how to do this on camera, so mine is not. But if you would like to learn how to do this, again, I already did it for you, but I want you to also know how to do it. The colors, by the way, for this card are Petal Pink, Crumb Cake, and Bermuda Bay, with some rose glimmer paper added in. So, first thing that you want to do is grab this particular die. All right. So once you grab this particular die piece, you want to measure it with scissors. And you want to measure it with scissors. Listen to me. Don't measure it with scissors. That won't help. You want to measure it with a ruler. And so you'll see it's a 3.5 by 3.5 inch square. So I cut this piece of cardstock at 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. And so now I'm going to show you how to use this die to emboss. Now, we also need to use this die to cut these particular pieces out. And I have already done that before coming on camera just to save time. And so you would just lay the die over like this, and it's the same sandwich that we did on cards 1 and 2. It's just your standard cutting. But if you want to use this die a different way and emboss this puzzle piece here without cutting any of them off, this is what you do. I'm going to show you. You'll want to purchase from Stampin' Up! To do this technique the Big Shot embossing mat. It's very inexpensive. You get 2 different size mats plus this white thing. I'm not exactly sure it's a technical term, right here. And then inside on the back of the packaging is a very useful instruction sheet that tells you step by step what your sandwich is going to look like for whatever you want to do. So to emboss, the first thing that we want to do is you're going to grab your Big Shot platform. So we were using the magnetic plate to cut before, just to do our regular cutting. For this, we're going to use the Big Shot platform. Then you put down a cutting pad. So we're just going to grab one of those. And then you put down your die, cutting side up. And then you put down your cardstock on top of your die. Then you put down your blue mat, a gray one and a blue one come in the packaging. For this technique, you use the blue, and then you use this white thing, which they are calling the impression pad. That's what this is called, okay? And you put that on top. Then you simply grab your Big Shot and run this through. And now you'll see when I pull all of this out, put the Big Shot aside here, lift this up, and you can already see from the back of it that it is now beautifully embossed, but I will pull it out, and there you go. So now all we need to do is grab our paper trimmer and trim around. I made it a little bit bigger so there was plenty of room for it, and now all I want to do is go ahead and trim the sides off. I did try it with just doing it at the exact same measurement as the actual die, but it just didn't work. It kind of ran off the ends a little bit, and I just found it was easier to make the square initially a little tiny bit bigger. And then it just takes a second here to go ahead and trim the sides. So not a big deal at all. And then look what you guys are, look what you guys are left with. It's so pretty. And you can do this on any color cardstock, any design. It's just really, really, really pretty. And those puzzle pieces really pop. But it's all together and none of them are cut out. Okay, so we've done that. Now the next thing we want to do, we only have one thing to stamp on this card, and that's our little sentiment here in the bottom left-hand corner. So go ahead and grab your crumb cake cardstock. I'm going to grab my scratch paper again, and I'm going to grab this image right here that says, "You are my missing piece." It's in a heart shape. Now, we also have a die that matches this, and it's in the coordinating die set, and it comes out in 4 pieces, so it goes together as a puzzle. And I have a video on YouTube actually using that. But for this card design, I decided to just keep the image whole and you know, just stamp it in, you know, by itself without the die. But you could, of course, use the die if you want. Grab your Petal Pink ink, and now we're going to ink this heart up here. I'm going to do one practice on my scrap paper really quickly, and then I'm just going to go ahead and stick this sentiment here on the bottom left-hand side of my crumb cake cardstock, like so. Very pretty. It's very subtle. I'll hold it up to the camera in a minute. It's very subtle because it's this light pink on the crumb cake, but I really liked the look. So hopefully you guys will like it too. Can you guys see that sentiment there? It's really subtle, but I think it's really pretty. All right, so now it's time to go ahead and start putting this card together. Another really simple design, I think. So we've got our Petal Pink card base. The first thing we want to do is grab the crumb cake we just stamped on, grab your adhesive, and add some snail adhesive to either of the short sides of the cardstock. Now you're going to grab your Whisper White baker's twine, and actually we can remove this scratch paper. And we are going to wind the baker's twine like you've seen me do before on cards, just by sticking it down on the back and then winding it around like so. I just really like this look, so I tend to do it often. And let's see, I'm going to play with it for a second before I commit by sticking it down. Just going to pull these pieces up just a little bit. There we go. That's better. See how I did that? You can fix it easy. And then I'm going to trim off the excess. This is so thin that I don't find it necessary to use Scotch tape when I'm using the thinner baker's twine, but you could obviously use Scotch tape if you prefer, just to make sure those pieces don't go anywhere. And now we are going to go ahead and center our crumb cake on the center of our A2 size petal pink card base. So it's going to go just like that. All right, now what we're going to do is I'm going to grab the pretty embossed puzzle that we just embossed with our Big Shot. And we're going to grab some dimensionals. I think 5 should do the trick. All right, so these are all in place here. Let's go ahead and peel off the backings. Okay, and then we will just simply center this. I'm going right of center, about here-ish, you know, just so we don't cover up that sentiment that we stamped down. Okay. Now, I mentioned before when I was kind of doing an overview of the card that I had a couple puzzle pieces also to cut out, and we talked about how you take the same die that we used to emboss and you would just run it through normally to cut. And I have a bunch of those pieces in just a little a little dish. Can you guys see how I've used this die a lot? So I'm just gonna grab 2 of the little Coastal Cabana colors and then 1 of the pretty glittery color. Which one do I want? Oh, let's see. This one. Okay. So I keep those extra. You never know when you might need them, right? So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to grab a couple of our mini dimensionals. These are a little tinier, so I'm just going to grab some mini dimensionals to stick on the back because I'm going to give all of these a little bit of a pop. So we're going to stick this one here, and then we'll take the other Coastal Cabana colored one, and we will stick that one kind of below it to the right of it a little bit. Like that. And then this one, we need 2 dimensionals on the back of our glitter one. And again, you guys already have these puzzle pieces cut out for you in your packet because I wanted to make sure that you had the colors to match the color scheme that I had planned. So you don't have to cut these out, you know, on your own unless you want to use different colors or something. You can just use what's in your packet. So there we go. Last step, you were given 6 pearls in your packet, 3 for each card. And you can place them wherever you want. I just kind of gravitated towards the bottom left-hand side, sort of around the sentiment. I thought that was a cute place for the pearls, so that's where I put them. And that's it, guys. This is the final card. Super simple cards today for this class, but I really hope you love them. They were super fun for me to work on and put together for you guys, so I hope that you really like them. So these are the cards that we completed in today's class. Super cute and fun, I think, and very different color schemes as well. I thought it would be fun to change it up. I usually have all of the color schemes matched across all 3 cards. But today I just thought, you know what, let's change it up a little bit and let's just have some fun with some different color schemes. So that's what I did. So I hope that you enjoyed this class. Thank you so much for stopping by, for hanging out with me, and for taking this online card class. Remember, I post new classes every Tuesday, so be sure to check out what's new on Tuesdays. Thank you guys so much again, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye-bye.